And so rosin is kind of the most basic form of, I mean, it's not the most basic. It's the most basic. You're more or less just pressing the button and getting, the extract out. This has been happening for humans since probably cavemans have been around, right? They've taken plants, they smashed them between two things and used the extracts. This is the
Yeah.
same thing we're doing, but we're taking it to a very high pressure. Uh, our press, I think, goes up to 10 ton. I don't think we ever used that amount, but it's quite nice. And so you're asking about the bags, right? So it really depends on the material that you use. If you press like a keef or a dry sift or bubble hash, you end up using about a 25 micron bag,
Oh wow.
and that's because some of the trichome glands are already kind of loose, and so they're easier to pass through. When you're
Mhm.
using flour, it's usually between a 120 and a 90 micron bag, and we've made some really nice flour rosin. Uh, we're still working on dry sift, that type of stuff. Uh,
Awesome.
yeah, for me personally, like I fell in love with rosin, but then after proper CRC, like butane and ethanol came around, like that's even better in the sense of like, we'll see how long rosin lasts. Uh, Dry sift and like basically ice water rosin might stick around because it is purer than the flour rosin, but flour rosin compared to kind of a proper butane CRC, I would rather take the butane CRC right now. We also press other type of separation, like other hash, right? And so one of them is dry sift hash. And so what this is more or less when the plant has been dried and when it's been cured, mechanically breaking off the trichomes from the plant matter, and then actually having, well, you can then take it a step further. And so the first step is just a tumbler or screens. And so, for us, we use Tom's tumbler like this one here. Uh, People that sell tumblers, in my opinion, have been using the wrong mesh sizes for a long time. So like, most people when they tumble, they use 150 micron mesh on the side. What we've learned is a lot of our cultivars that we have, their trichome gland heads are even larger than 200 microns. So we use a 250 micron mesh and then worry about cleaning those up later. And so the first step in any dry sift is a tumbler. From there, what you want to do is basically remove any plant material from that, and you use that with the screens here. And a lot of people on the market right now aren't doing this. It sucks. So if you looked at any hash that is currently being sold, I haven't seen any that has hit kind of 70%. That's kind of the cutoff that people shoot for full melt hash. But really, whenever I was talking about this before, but do you see like the trichome here? Whenever you do a mechanical separation, whether it's bubble bags or dry sift, there's kind of two processes of separation that you have to do. The first one is removing the full trichome from the plant matter. And once you do that, it's not like you'll just have all THC, right? Because that's stock, or that trichome is still 50% stock. And that's why if you go to any of the dispensaries and you look at the hash, all the hash is probably between 35 and 55%. And that's because they're not separating the trichome head from the stalk. And the way you do that is these screens that are down here on the bottom. And the way you end up separating them is you just roll the trichome over the screen, and the screen will actually catch the bottom stalk of the trichome, and then you can rub the head off. And then, kind of at the end, what you have is trichome heads and stalks together. And thankfully, thanks to electrostatic separation and the properties involved with the trichome, there's a really cool property or process that we can use to isolate these two components. And so if you check out this big picture right here, what you see is, I believe this is a piece of parchment paper that's wrapped over a credit card. And it's really cool because when you pass over a positive and a negative electrical charge for the stalk and head, the stalk has a different property than the head. And I can't tell you off the top of my head which one's which, but basically, we've come up with a paintbrush roller method from the Jungle Boys, but what you can do is more or less just only collect the heads. And this is how we create, or our process for creating, a 6-star, 99.9% gland head, dry set